Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, I hope everyone is doing okay today. Oh wow, it's like I'm showing chest hair or something. Yeah, this one is going to have to be relatively quick, and I can't necessarily stay. I may be able to do videos later this evening, but I thought this one was interesting. So the link above, of course, as you know, the channel has been demonetized, so you can use that link if you want to give donations for the show. It goes through PayPal, so it's not the typical super chat. Sorry, my eyes are watering. It's not the typical super chat. That said, all right, let's get to the show. Right there behind me, it's asking the question: what's wrong with this picture? In one side, Bernie Sanders, the delegate count, meaning the regular vote, the electoral count. Sanders, 60%. Clinton, 38%. The delegate vote, Sanders, 15 votes. Clinton, 15 votes. Well, wait a minute. How does that happen? I mean, he trounced her in the election. How on earth does she end up with the same number of delegate votes as Sanders? That's peculiar. It's not peculiar at all. Those are called superdelegates. Now, one superdelegate has the essentially political force of like 10,000 men or 10,000 people in general. One man, one vote, one woman, one vote. So essentially, one superdelegate has the vote of thousands or tens of thousands of regular human beings. That is grossly unfair. That is profoundly unfair. That is anti-democratic. That is rigging the process. Literally rigging the process. Now, this came to a head in the election for all sorts of reasons. But cheating was the rock that a lot of lefties who were Democrats, who are no longer Democrats, hit their head on. Now, earlier today, Donna Brazile and Jimmy Dore bumped heads. I'm going to give you the conversation that these two had on Twitter. I got to be honest, this conversation is not completely clear to me. Like, it's not one of those things this is exactly what this person means, because Twitter is not necessarily the best of forums in order to get across this idea of this is exactly what I'm trying to say. It's constrained in characters. Nevertheless, I'm going to show you what both are saying. To some degree, again, it's going to be interpreted just because it's hard to know what each person is trying to get across. What Jimmy Dore is saying is pretty straightforward because Jimmy Dore has said it before. But what Donna Brazile is saying here is not the clearest thing in the world to me. So I am going to give you what I think she is saying, and you yourself can, I guess, interpret what she's saying. I'll send a message to her to see if she will respond to, I guess, a further or longer comment. So let's take a look. So as you all know, the Democratic Party has chosen to neuter, to essentially, for the first round of voting, grab the superdelegates by the balls and not cut them off, but more so pin them, just for the first round. The superdelegates haven't gone anywhere. The superdelegates still exist. They just can't do anything for the first round, providing that the vote is won in that first round. If the vote is not won in that first round, then those superdelegates come back with full force, and they can vote for whoever they want. All right. So, that being said, there are certain people, certain Democrats, who weren't on board for this change. One of those people was Donna Brazile. Now, interestingly enough, Donna Brazile was complaining about this on Twitter. And a lot of people saw Donna Brazile complaining about this on Twitter and had words for Donna Brazile, one of those people being Mr. Jimmy Dore. Donna Brazile says this. Where is it? There it is. Democrats voted to remove automatic delegates from the first round of voting, But we still have seats at the table. We're still in the room and very much capable of setting the menu. Hashtag power rising. I don't fully know what that means. Now, she says this in response to Democrats' vote to strip superdelegates of power and reform caucuses ahead of the 2020 presidential race. What it sounds to me, I can only tell you what it sounds to me, as if Donna Brazile, to some degree, feels aggrieved. You've taken something from me, but just because you've taken something from me doesn't necessarily mean that we're toothless. It feels like she's pushing back against this idea that something has been lost or something has been stolen. That's what it comes across to me as. Maybe someone has a different idea on this. That's what it comes across to me as. It's like, do you remember where people get the middle finger thing from? The Brits, they were in the war with the French, and because they were using the bow and arrow, the French would cut their fingers off. And at the end of one of these battles, or at the end of some of the battles, they were flinging their fingers, showing that their fingers still exist at the end of that war. That's kind of how this feels. Yeah, you might have taken my, whatever, but I still have my fingers, and we're waving our fingers back at you, showing that we still exist, and we can still put a knife in you. We still can set the menu. And she's right. The lobbyists still exist. The money still exists. Those things haven't changed. The power structure of the party still exists. Those delegates, those superdelegates, haven't necessarily came into force since the inception of the superdelegates. So, yeah, they can still set the menu. I mean, after all, there were more than just the superdelegates that was causing the cheating in that race. Donna Brazile has even told us so. I mean, keep in mind, Donna Brazile is a person who was so corrupt, she got fired from CNN for passing questions, got called on it by Jordan Sheridan. Let's watch this.
And so, as I've stated repeatedly, and I'll state it again for the record, I have never been privileged, as long as I've been not just a part of CNN, which, let me just say, how proud I am to have been a contributor for CNN and other news outlets. And no one has ever shared questions with any of us involved in CNN as...
Do you have proof that it was Russia? Do you have off to the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Sir, you know what? I wish when you got your facts, you read the emails. And
I did read a lot of them.
Well, you clearly did not read my email, sir. The Democratic National Committee, as Secretary Clinton alluded to tonight, was a victim of a cybercrime.
You keep saying that, but the email was that you passed it along.
Private emails were stolen from individuals that had no right being trafficked in the public sphere.
We've heard this, but what about you passing a question to Hillary Clinton's campaign, the town hall before?
Jordan is right, by the way. She was passing a question to the town hall. CNN found out and fired her for it. Now, she was too corrupt to work for CNN, the most trusted name in news that recently just really royally fucked up on a story about Donald Trump saying that Cohen had information that Cohen didn't have, and CNN having this kind of passing around this anonymous source. So, the most trusted name in news, she was too corrupt to work for the most trusted name in news. She was fired from CNN. But she was not corrupt enough to be hired at the DNC. Head of the DNC, no less. One of the things that Donna Brazile came out with as head of the DNC, though, was a bombshell that wasn't a bombshell at all, showing that they were cheating Bernie Sanders. And there's this awesome part in this inside Hillary Clinton's secret takeover of the DNC. I'm not going to read it again because I've read this multiple times. But there's this awesome section in this where Donna Brazile explains how money was being laundered. This was something that everybody already knew, that Counterpunch had talked about, Politico had talked about, that she essentially exposed something in her book that everybody already knew but didn't say a word about until the primaries were over with. And she could hawk that book in good conscience. There's a section for all those people who said there was no cheating. Even to the degree that Donna Brazile is talking about. This section in her book, in this section, where she talks about all of this money sloshing around, where really only a small percentage went back to the state parties, but the majority of which went back to Hillary Clinton. This was outright money laundering to skirt FEC finance rules. At the end of this, she writes, this was unethical. This wasn't illegal. That's like a burglar saying she broke the window, she walked into the door, she took all of the money, and she walked out. But this wasn't stealing, even though it was unethical. No, it was stealing, or this was money laundering. And you writing a little blurb at the bottom saying it wasn't money laundering doesn't make it not money laundering. She was skirting FEC finance regulations. So we know who Donna Brazile is in this case. She's a political hatchet man for the Democratic Party. She is a loyal soldier. She is what she is. I'm amazed by this part. So let's go into what she's saying. Democrats, and let's flip it over so everybody can see it a little bit better. Democrats voted to remove automatic delegates from the first round of voting, but we still have seats at the table. We're still in the room, very much capable of setting the menu. I'm not fully sure what that means, but it sounds like, again, we still have teeth in this. So Jimmy Dore doesn't like that. And Jimmy Dore responds to this. Come on. Donna Brazile comforts the powerful over super delegates, reminding them not to fret as they still have control over party and can nullify the votes. Power to the powerful. The resistance is an assistance. You know, the funny part about this is he's reading this the same way I'm reading this. It sounds like you're saying, we still have the capacity to own this thing. Or we still essentially set the course of events. We are still in charge. I don't understand why she has the need to tweet that, but she felt the need to tweet that. I don't know the emotional response, or if this was just, we need to pretend as if we're upset by this. I don't know which one this was, but either way, she felt the need that she needed to tweet this information out. So Jimmy Dore responds. Now, Donna Brazile sees this and responds to Jimmy Dore. If your goal in this is to say, look, we need to bring the party together because we're going to lose if we are not united, meaning we need to give them something either through optics or reality, whichever one you want to call it. We need to give them something. It is a little bit weird for them not to be on the same message, which is why I asked the question, yes, cynically, is she just saying this to make it look as if there's some, real animosity towards what has just taken place? If you want to sell it, one of the easiest and the best ways to sell it is to pretend as if you've lost something. Maybe this was that. That's selling it. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. It's just a little bit weird that they wouldn't be on the same page for something like this. So let's keep going. Donna Brazile responds to Mr. Dore. Please do not speak for me. You can disagree, but I know what I stand for and what shall never stand in a democracy like ours. The right to vote is sacred. No matter if you are a pledged majority, delegate, or unpledged minority, you cannot change a perception problem this way. Again, I am not perfectly clear on what Donna Brazile is saying, but it sounds as if she's saying, look, the issue here is perception. And what you've just done doesn't necessarily get at the issue that is purely a perception issue. Meaning, taking away my superdelegate vote doesn't necessarily get at something that is purely an issue of perception. If that is indeed what she's saying, this is utter nonsense. And this is reaching a certain level of senility. I don't know what this part means. Please do not speak for me. You can disagree, but I know what I stand for and what shall never stand in democracy like us. I have no idea what that means. I have zero idea what that means. The right to vote is sacred, no matter if you're a pledged, delegate, or unpledged. Agreed. Agreed. The problem here, Miss Brazile, is that the right to vote is sacred. And in no way should your one vote equal to thousands of other human beings who also look at the right to vote to be sacred. Why is your vote equal to 10,000 other votes? If indeed the right to vote is sacred, shouldn't it be one man, one vote, not one man and 10,000 other votes? I agree with you that the right to vote is sacred. I agree with you. You guys have been rigging a process. And you've gotten accustomed to be able to rig the process. Even if you haven't necessarily used the fact that you've rigged the process, the option has always remained. And this idea has been put forth in the media as if these people are voting in the same time or concurrently with every other vote. This is not necessarily a bad thing to get rid of these things because, again, if indeed you weren't necessarily using them, then why are you having them? In fact is, the Republican Party doesn't have them. Why do you, the Democratic Party, feel the need to exclude your grassroots in a way where one person from the standpoint of the Democratic Party establishment can equal the vote of thousands of other human beings? And to, with a straight face, look at the public and say, this is somehow fair and this should somehow, for some reason, be this way. And be pissed off about it when the public says, look, if you want us to participate in this process, if you don't want 15 million people, Democrats, to leave the party, then maybe you need to have a more fair shot in that party process. Unpledged minority, we can't change this with a perception problem. This is not a perception problem. So when Donna Brazile is writing the thing for her book, saying that the Democratic Party was cheating Bernie Sanders, that the Democratic Party or Hillary Clinton was funneling money all through the states in order to skirt campaign finance laws, that's not perception. That's actually something that's physically happening, or that was physically happening. Money laundering is an actual thing. That is not me perceiving to be money laundering. That is money laundering. There's a difference in those things. If you want to go with this idea of them shutting down polling locations, that is not me perceiving them shutting down polling locations. That is them shutting down polling locations. What about the collusion behind the background? When you guys are looking at me, telling me that this is a fair and unbiased process, while at the same token saying that you can cheat people in the back room. These are not issues of perceptions. These are issues of things that were taking place on the ground. These were real items. If your argument is that all of this boils down to perception, then I would say your argument is some degree delusional. You're wrong. You're wrong. So Jimmy Dore responds. Sad to see you double down on sticking up for the powerful over voters. The fact that you're not embarrassed by your original tweet is why you and Democrats are losers and lost to Trump and are wiped out at every level of government. Congrats on taking fossil fuel donations. Congrats on taking fossil fuel donations. I like him throwing that in there just to make sure it's, hey, the reason why you lose is because you represent a certain interest and not the grassroots interests. There are no parties that represent workers in this country, even though the Democratic Party pretends as if they are that group. There are no parties that represents anti-war, that represents clean energy. None of that exists. You have two corporate parties that for all intents and purposes represent the exact same thing. They just are two wings, slightly different, of the same bird. They just call themselves different names, both of which are the Capitalist Party. Donna Brazile and Jimmy Dore. Like I said, it is not completely clear to me. It's not completely clear to me what Donna Brazile is saying on some of this stuff. So I leave it up there for you to see for yourself. I put the tweets at the bottom so you can see for yourself. I gotta be honest, I don't particularly like this video because I feel this video could have been done in like 10 minutes. And it's gone on for way, way too long, so I may actually do this video again. Nevertheless, Donna Brazile bumps head with Jimmy Dore. Tabitha, yeah, I've been looking at the Syrian news stuff. Essentially, them talking about another chemical strike. I haven't had the chance to do it, but I've been looking at it. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to cover it. And I've seen them move battleships into. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it. All right, I'm going to end this because, like I said, this video has gone far too long, and I may even nix this video and redo this video again. But just in case, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can support through Patreon. Thanks all. Bye-bye.